Welcome to the Hello Foundation's 15-minute podcast, The Strategic Cohort, showcasing educational administrators answering 5 questions related to their current position. We talk with educational leaders across settings and across states. Our objective is to share thoughts and ideas between professionals at a time when leaders can often feel isolated. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Strategic Cohort. I would love to start by having you just tell us your full title and what your responsibilities are in your current role.
Sure. Well, I'm Executive Director of Special Education for Yakima School District. I primarily deal with kinder through age 21 programming, and my role and my responsibilities include the grant, making sure programs are running, that we are meeting students' individual needs, that hiring personnel, contracting with outside agencies because we don't have enough personnel to hire. Problem-solving issues, making sure people have appropriate staff development, kind of all of the above.
That is no small job, Nancy. That is a full plate, definitely. Well, I appreciate you taking a few minutes just to share with us today. The first question I was hoping to ask is, in the context of your current role, what do you think in all those responsibilities you shared is the greatest challenge that you face?
Last year, the greatest challenge would have been providing appropriate programming for severely autistic students. But that has changed, and this year we actually have a couple of really huge challenges. And one of those challenges is that we have not been able to hire enough certificated special ed certified teaching staff. We have 6 openings.
Oh, whoa.
Yes, and we also have 3 school psychology openings.
Oh, goodness.
And there isn't staff available. So that's a major challenge. But I have one other major challenge that's going on right now. It's kind of been an ongoing challenge all these years. And it has to do with, the district has made some progress in the area of having especially our high incidence population, our mild kids, LD, health impaired kinds of kids, having them have appropriate access to general education. Mm. And while it's improved, we are currently actually in the middle of a citizen's complaint brought forth by the teachers union because we are attempting to have a number of our students receive more time in general education. So that's a major. Citizens' complaints, due process hearings, those are major challenges.
Oh, those are major challenges. Oh, Nancy, I'm so sorry. I hope that it gets resolved soon and with ease.
Well, it will be resolved one way or the other. Yeah. Within 60 days, yes.
The upside and downside of timelines. Well, I'm thinking about you. The school psychologist, I've heard that from other administrators, has been really tough this year. And do you see it, but also the special education teachers directly, that's a real concern. Do you anticipate that improving over time? Yakima's, it's not exactly the central to Seattle by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not a small city.
No, it's a large district, close to 16,000 students. We're the largest district in the area. There were a lot of retirements, and then our district received a grant which opened up a bunch of lap positions intervention positions, that many of our teachers either moved, well, about 12, maybe 9 to 12, moved to either a lap position or to a general ed position, and people make those changes. It just so happens that there weren't that many people available to hire. I don't know what the future holds there. We have a couple of things happening in the district that could help us in the future. There's I think it's called H105, and I couldn't tell you exactly what it means, but it's a kind of a collaborative program between our ESD and Heritage University, where students who want to become special ed teachers actually have 2 years in a building while they take classes, 2 years working in classrooms, and we have one has just started at one of our elementaries, and so that's kind of like growing your own. So eventually that could help with the shortage. Otherwise, I really don't know, but I know it's an issue across the state.
It is, absolutely. It's across the nation. I think really finding good qualified people. I love the grow your own model personally. Unfortunately, it's a long-term investment, and there are always short-term demands. I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
I do want to transition, though, instead of struggles, asking you, what success do you feel you've had in school administration?
I do feel like a success that I've had has to actually do not just with only special education, but it's also affects general education, and that is that 5 years ago, after a lot of discussion about in our district, it's quite a diverse population, and looking at ways to provide better instruction for kids from diverse backgrounds. The district was willing to look at possible implementation of the strategic instruction model out of University of Kansas. And it's a program that has been researched since 1978. One segment is content enhancement, and that is for general ed teachers, and there are a number of content enhancement routines that teachers are taught. It's not a whole model. It's something to use to introduce and concepts and follow up, and there are quite a number of different routines, and then on the other end, learning strategies, which is for special ed and ELL students, and other students,
right.
And their learning strategies in reading, written expression, math, a number of different areas. Well, we did some research, and we visited another district that implemented it, and the district decided to implement it. So this was something that I kind of managed for at least a couple of years, the implementation. And this is now year 5, and we have actually really grown our own. We have 7 or 8 or 9 content enhancement certified staff developers.
Wow.
Then our staff, and that's general ed. And then we have 2 certified staff developers from special ed. And it's a grow your own model to keep it going. And it's really, I believe it's made a difference for a lot of kids. And the people who are the staff developers are very excited about it, motivated, and are continuing to grow the ranks of staff who become trained to use the strategies and routines. So I feel very good about that. That's a big success. It's something that I think really addresses many students' needs, not just special ed.
Wow, that is so impressive, Nancy. I mean, that is not only that has such a broad reach across the district, and fundamentally will change what's happening not just for 1 year, but for lots of years to come. Congratulations! Yeah, that's great stuff. Well, what advice would you share with a new school administrator just coming on board?
A new school administrator, I would highly recommend they get to know their special ed director.
That's a great answer. I like that.
And whoever is in charge of 504 for the district. I think that, developing a relationship with that person, a professional relationship, can go a long way with, helping make sure that things are on track in their buildings, and that because there is so much a new administrator has to know. Even our veteran school administrators really don't always understand special ed, and really it would prevent a lot of problems from developing if they do develop that relationship.
I would agree with you. Do you think there's, because I've seen administrator training programs, they're quite extensive and demanding, but do you feel that there's just never really universally an understanding of to what degree they're going to have to know what's happening with special ed?
I think so. I think there's just so much that they need to know, and how can you fit it into a year or two program? It's and it's so complicated that people come out and they really don't have a good picture of what's involved.
Well, and it's definitely different everywhere you go. So as far as how they implement it, interpret it. So yes. I think you're right. It's complicated.
Yeah.
Well, my next question has to do with actually the future, not what's happening now, but in your opinion, what trends do you see currently going on that will impact education, general ed or special ed, in the future?
Well, the one trend that continues to impact, which in many ways I think has been really good. One of the positives that have come out of No Child Left Behind, which personally I don't see many positives, but one is that we've really had to take a look at instruction, and what is good instruction. How do we document and show the data that kids are making growth and improving. So I think that's going to continue to impact education. I think that it's going to be expected that we continue to show, have a scientific method for showing growth.
I'm over here shaking my head madly going, absolutely, I agree with you, because I think if I look at No Child Left Behind as a whole, that is the one thing that I do think is positive that came out of it, that we are having expectations and having the conversation about what student growth should look like and what is good instruction. And that's going to evolve as time goes on. So it'll be interesting to watch.
Yes, it will.
Now, my last question, and like I said, I really appreciate your time and all that you've already shared, but how are students different today than when you went to school?
Wow.
I know.
Well, I went to school in the dark ages. It feels like it. Since I graduated from high school in 1971. So, looking at that, at the 60s, and where I went to school.
Where was that, Nancy?
Well, between Bend, Oregon, and East Wenatchee, Washington.
Okay.
Yeah. Until I was almost out of high school, kids really didn't question. They just sort of were more passive learners, and there wasn't a lot of acting out, or you were expected just to get your work done, to behave in class, and that's the way it was. And while I am sure that when I was in school, that in some areas of the country, there were probably classrooms that had issues and a lot of misbehavior, and it just was not as prevalent as it is today. I think that some of the respect for education has changed. In society, it's changed, and I think that has affected students' response to their education. But I think they are more questioning and expect to be more interactive.
That's a great point.
To use technology more, and there wasn't really any of that when I was in school.
Well, Nancy, it was a big deal when I was in high school that when I took typing, and it was called typing,
yes,
you learned, we were the first class for myself to learn on an electric typewriter. That was a big deal.
yes, I believe for myself as well. And when they had the correction tape.
Oh, that's right. That was huge. So
yes.
Things are definitely different. I often think if my own sophomore daughter went back to my own high school when I was there, she would just be shaking her head because, the internet wasn't there. We couldn't look things up. We sat for hours in a library looking at books that were already outdated.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Card catalogs and...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. My goodness. Well, Nancy, I really appreciate you taking these few minutes to chat with us. And, I'm hoping that this will be shared with others. But, of course, this will also be a resource for you that we will share with you. So,
all right. Well,
yes, and thank you for your time. Many thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Strategic Cohort. We thank all of our administrator partners for practicing quality and putting kids first. We are always seeking administrators interested in answering our 5 questions for this podcast. If you would like to be a part of the Strategic Cohort, please contact us at sharon.soliday@thehellofoundation.com. We always provide participating administrators a copy of the recording to share on their own LinkedIn profile.